I, 38F, cheated on my husband, 42 meters, and I feel terrible. I've been cheating on my husband for the past year and recently called it off. I feel like absolute garbage and I know that if I come clean, he'll leave me. I deserve it, I know, but I can't stand the thought of him not being in my life. I tried to rationalize my cheating by telling myself that it was good for me because I was just so timely frustrated and was blaming my husband because he couldn't maintain an erection and refused to help me out. I ended up sleeping with my ex-husband over quarantine because it was just so easy. We shared kids, he lives down the street, we still get along, and, I don't know, it just felt okay at first. Recently, my husband and I were talking about everything and going on and time was brought up and he broke down crying and apologized saying that the last few years have been stressful for him, that he'd secretly been battling depression. I had no idea and felt ashamed of himself for not being able to satisfy me, so he never tried. I don't know what to do now. I feel so shitty for what I've done. I know I should have talked to him about our time life rather than just cheating, but I didn't and I don't know how to move on. Comment 1. So this is the kind of thing that poisons you from the inside. It's sad that your husband has been depressed and afraid to tell you, and sad too that you didn't see that he was. I think if your marriage even has a chance, you should both get really real with each other. There's a good chance he will find out on his own at some point. These things rarely stay secret. I think the right thing to do is talk to him. Confess, talk, give him the honesty and respect he deserves. If he decides to try and work it out with you, know that it's a very long road back to trust. You will need to be patient and accept his feelings. You have to be willing to walk through the shit day by day. It is painful and messy, and there is no time limit for that. You've made your choices, and have to deal with the consequences of that. You will both have to learn how to communicate with each other, how to love and respect each other. For some people, this brings them closer than they ever were. For many others, it just becomes too much. There's too much damage to continue the relationship. Comment 2. It is heartbreaking that her husband has been battling depression and trying to hide it from her as to not burden her with it. Meanwhile, she has been sleeping with her ex, WHO lives down the street, for a full year, and didn't even notice the very noticeable changes that happen when your so has depression. Comment 3. The fact that you need to ask means you won't tell him. You're hoping for that one commenter that will help you rug sweep it so you can carry on the deception even if it's over. I hope for your current husband's sake you don't cower out and bury it, because your only chance of saving anything is being honest. A marriage built on lies is already over, and your poor husband has been exhausted and stressed while feeling guilty this whole time. What amazing irony. Do him a favor and just run back to your ex like you've already been doing, and will likely do again the next time your current husband has any sort of difficulties. Poor guy. Comment 4. The fact that you need to ask means you won't tell him. You're hoping for that one commenter that will help you rug sweep it so you can carry on the deception even if it's over. I hope for your current husband's sake you don't cower out and bury it, because your only chance of saving anything is being honest. A marriage built on lies is already over, and your poor husband has been exhausted and stressed while feeling guilty this whole time. What amazing irony. Do him a favor and just run back to your ex like you've already been doing, and will likely do again the next time your current husband has any sort of difficulties. Poor guy. Comment 5. You need to accept the consequences of your actions. I was in the same position as your husband with my now ex-husband. Some of the cheating he did I didn't even find out until after the separation from other sources. It was the most humiliating and devastating few years of my life. You have done one of the most disrespectful, hurtful things you can possibly do to a partner. If you want to start respecting him, and really ask yourself if that is the case, stop thinking only about yourself, and whether or not he'll stay with you, and tell him the truth. If you weren't aware he was depressed for the last few years, you two clearly have major communication issues, which is what led you down the infidelity path. Come clean, see if he's open to couples counseling, and start from there. What other option do you really have? Do you really think, now that the damage is done, you can just patch things up moving forward? How the hell can you respect a man you've done this to? Comment 6. I'm going to try and not be so judgmental. Plenty of people are doing that. A relationship built on broken trust will fail every time. You broke your relationship when you broke your husband's trust. Until you are honest and respect that your spouse needs to know and needs to process your actions, your relationship has no chance. Think about it this way. You have one ex-husband, you obviously didn't learn the lesson the first time because soon you may have two. Comment 7. Oh goodness. I don't even know where to start. I think everyone has me covered with the insults. But now that's out of the way, I want you to understand how bad this will be for your husband. You essentially disrespected to the highest degree by having a full-blown affair for a whole year. You might as well have shat on his face. That would have been better than what you did to him. Tell him and tell him gently. Don't you dare say it's because of his ed or any shortcomings from him. Admit it was a selfish decision for you. Don't you dare pull him down deeper as he's struggling with depression. Let him heal, let him leave you if that's what he chooses. Comment 8. Grow up. You ducked up. Knowingly going behind your current husband's back to cheat on him with your ex-husband for a year. How low and disgusting can you make the situation? Like seriously, that's so beyond messed up. This poor guy has already been dealing with depression and now this? Wow. Do him a goddamn favor and leave. What an entirely awful, disgusting thing to do. Comment 9. JFC, I hope this is fake, but if not, I feel so bad for your husband. You are so narcissistic that you didn't even notice your husband was suffering from depression. You are so narcissistic that affair went on for an entire year with ex-husband. Down the street. Do you realize how emasculating that is? And you have the goddamn audacity to say he'll leave you. He should. Trash. Go back to ex and leave husband alone. Tell him the ducking truth and then do everything he asks, then leave him alone. If you ever loved him even a tiny bit, and have a smidgen of respect left for him, tell him the truth and leave him alone. Comment 10. By not telling him you're making things worse and the cash is if him leaving even higher, accept that you're a piece of shit and suffer the consequences. Why even divorce your ex-husband if you're gonna run back for his dick? You're so goddamn selfish. Your husband is dealing with depressions, all you care about is the way your worn out pussy feels. Comment 11. And when it comes out, he will either kick you to the curb or he will replace you. Had a client who did not think that her husband would be mad. She lied to herself and thought that her husband would be happy if she was. Wrong. On discovery, her husband attacked the OM made heavily disparaging remarks about WW. She was witness to her lover calling it a mercy duck to a homely old woman with a fat and saggy behind. That nearly killed her. What happened next was worse. They were co-workers and BH made absolutely sure that everyone they worked with knew what had happened. Both were terminated for cause. She was reeling. She had never expected that her little fling would become this toxic. Her worst fears were realized when her husband brought another woman home from a date. She realized at that point he was auditioning her replacement. 35 years of marriage. She found herself in a cheap apartment, working a much lower paying job, and watching her ex with other women. The divorce was almost a relief. Comment 12. Confess and face the consequences. Cheating with your ex-husband is just so much worse than doing it with some random guy. He'll never not be in your life, and you'll be in constant contact through your kids. I'd hate to kick you when you're down, but geez, you're a boss. Confess and let him decide what he intends to do about his future. In all honesty, I don't see this being solvable. Your ex will always be a significant part of your life, and the affair and your husband's depression will destroy him. Comment 13. You should go to counseling by yourself and figure out why you cheated and what would have to change, by both you and your husband, for you to be satisfied in your marriage. Your counselor can help you figure out if, when and how to tell your husband. Cheating is a very big betrayal and it's hard to say what will happen after you come clean. However, you did this for reasons and you need to solve those reasons if you're going to stay married. Comment 14. You already know the adjective that applies to women like you, so I have no concern about your fate. Rather, my concern is that you minimize the damage you will cause your husband going forward. I would suggest that you honestly confess your entire affair to an individual counselor first for guidance on the best way to come clean with your husband in a way that causes him the least amount of destruction. The last thing you, or anyone else on this thread, want is for him to commit suicide because of your treachery. From what you've said so far, that seems like a real possibility. You're already damaged goods. So is your husband. Don't destroy the poor man by coming clean in a careless and selfish attempt to clear your own conscience. For his sake, get professional guidance first. Comment 15. Admit what you did, and await your consequences. Had a similar one in the divorce end of my practice. She was frustrated in the bedroom. He was studying and working toward a law degree. She decided that him cracking the books was reason enough to start up with an ex. So, we get to graduation day, and she has a way bit too much to drink. Suddenly, she is crying in the middle of the celebrations, and she confesses. She was lucky to leave the venue in one piece. His entire family heard. His mother banned her from any family event. He went radio silence, as the divorce attorneys told him not to communicate further. We did not want to divulge a salary for an articling lawyer. We totally excoriate her. Her ex was slipped some funds to testify against her. She walked away with the clothing on her back and nothing else. 3 months later, she runs into him. He has now finished his articling period, and is an associate with our firm. He is on the partnership track. She sees that he is dressed head to toe in designer stuff. He is now wearing a Rolex instead of a Seiko. He is dating a girl that she knew from HS. A wealthy girl who is used to the finest in life. She cannot believe the change. She asks how it is going and he says, "I am doing better than I ever have, just bought a condo, and just took delivery on my Mercedes." WW can't hold it in, "Are you rich now? Did you win the lottery?" He goes, "No you fool, I am a practicing lawyer with a high-profile firm. All that studying I was doing was to get to this place. I remember what you make every year, multiply that a few times and that is what I am making." She stops, looks at him, and says, "So I basically ducked myself out of all of the stuff you got after I went with JXXXX? He says, "Basically, yup. My girlfriend really likes the view from my condo." His ex excused herself to go throw up. When she returned, she asked the dumbass question of all time. "Can you see your way clear to getting back together with me?" His response? "Not in this life." He was harassed a few times by her parents, mostly her father, who was now made aware that his dumbass child had screwed up and lost big time.
Thanks you for watching Everyday New Movies. See you soon.